Welcome into Boxing Scene's top stories here on ProBox TV. Don't forget, download the ProBox TV app. Never fall behind with your boxing news. Also, the best way to see our Wednesday night fights. Well, the Monster did his thing in Tokyo. That's right, knocking out TJ Doheny with a body shot that seemed to cause his back to go out. Thought it was a spinal issue for a while, but did take a while to heat up in that fight. So what is his future, right? Of course, Bob Arum saying there would be a showdown with undefeated Sam Goodman, and then Nakatani maybe later in his U.S. debut. A lot of ways forward for the Monster. I am joined now by three monsters, of course, Chris Algieri, Paulie Malignaggi, and ESPN boxing analyst Timothy Bradley. Tim, you were there ringside for the fight. You were calling it. When you look at that fight and his ability during that fight, the way forward, did you see some vulnerabilities, or was he just trying to figure out a guy who's maybe big, awkward southpaw? What's your thought about the fight?
Well, first of all, I wasn't there live. I was actually in LA.
Couldn't tell hearing your voice, man. Sounded like you were right there,
man. But I saw at the beginning of the first round, I saw a tentative Inoue, and I think that has to I think that contributes to the fact that he got knocked down in the fight, his last fight against Neri. And so he took a more cautious approach, respecting his opposition. I was in front of him, although he had a 37, 38-year-old in front of him, Doheny, who had a game plan, man, and he surprised me, and I think he surprised Inoue as well. And he forced Inoue to go into his bag, because there was a time where Inoue was marching forward, but he wasn't able to really land anything significant on him. You had Doheny that was actually feinting, moving to the side, jabbing here, finishing combinations after Inoue would try to lunge in with a shot. He would try to finish and counter him. Just very savvy in there, and Inoue decided, like, okay, well, I'm gonna actually try to bring you towards me. So Inoue will pin himself in the corner at times and say, come on, to try to change his game up a bit, adjust during the fight. And then when it changed, I think it was around round 4, 5, it started to change. Inoue started to pendulum bounce. He started to bounce in and out, bounce in and out. And that's what I think, that right there is what got Doheny out of his game, because then he was hard for him to really time him and set him up with shots. And then you will see Inoue dart in and dart out with combinations, dart in and dart out. And then he finally got down to that body, in which he's been doing, landing those right hands from the opening bell. But man, when he started that double-fisted attack to the body coming around, it was just all she wrote after that. And there was times during the fight where I just felt like Inoue was taking his time, and it was almost like he was just like dissecting what this guy was doing. And it felt like a sparring session. It almost felt like he was carrying him. And once again, Doheny slowed down. It was all she wrote, man. But I thought it was a good performance for what it was. It wasn't a spectacular performance, but it was a good performance. He got the job done. But moving forward, I want to see him with guys like MJ, another southpaw, tough, can punch, can box a little bit. And, why not Goodman? Goodman's a good boxer from Australia. I believe he deserves a shot at the title. I think Inoue can get him. And lastly, I would say, I wouldn't mind seeing him in there with Nakatani as well.
When you look at, as you call him, the Bob father, Bob Arum, and the path he has set out for Naoya Inoue, came into the ring after the fight. Chris, what do you think about his plan and his timing of getting everything done to make the U.S. debut about 2025? What's your thought?
Man, I love when Bob does that. He jumps to those ropes. He's 94 years old. He's flying to Japan. He jumps to those ropes, and he lays out the next 18 months of your career. And he tells everybody the way it is. I don't know if that was a set plan or if that's just what Bob's got in his head. That man is something special. But he goes in there and he says, yeah, we're gonna do the Christmas Eve card. He's gonna fight Sam Goodman, which is a good fight, which is what we thought this fight was gonna be. And Tim, I agree with you. I think this fight actually happened because of the last fight, and Inoue got dropped. I think Doheny came in as an opportunity for Shingo, his father, to work on some things. And that's what I love about Inoue, man. He as good as he is, he's still working on his craft. You saw how he's keeping that right hand pinned. He was in the back warming up, and he kept touching his cheekbone, because he made a mistake in that fight with Neri. He had that left hand, that right hand was sliding down. That's why left hand was able to drop him. So I think they were working on some things with a guy that, yes, he's dangerous, but as you said, he's 37 years old. It's a guy that, in a way, is definitely supposed to be able to outclass and beat, and obviously he did. But it wasn't jumping right into like an Akbadalia fight, which would be a dangerous fight to try and work on something new. So I do believe that this fight actually happened because he did get dropped in that last fight. But in terms of going forward, The Goodman fight, I love that Aquadalia fight. That MJ, that's a great fight. I really hope that happens. And Bob said that he wants to bring him to Las Vegas in the spring and put Nakatani on the undercard, which is going to get everyone excited about that matchup in the end of 2025 or in the fall. Dude, you put that in the Tokyo Dome, Nakatani, Inoue. Woo! Got passport, will travel. I'm going to that fight no matter what. I will pay my own way. That is a fight, man. I think that is the most dangerous fight out there for Inoue. You know, there's been all this talk about him going up to featherweight. I don't think that happens, man. I think he's going to hang around 22. I think he's got that Nakatani mega fight coming up in the next year or so. Bob's got a plan. I like Bob's plan. I like the idea of what he's doing. I've been saying all along, he doesn't need to come to America to fight, but if you're setting up a Nakatani fight and you want to introduce the American audience so they can see the monster firsthand, and you have Nakatani undercard, forget it. You're taking the market share. You got Japan. He already put 55,000 in Tokyo Dome. You put another Japanese fighter in Nakatani, you put both two in Tokyo Dome, they'll sell that no problem. They'll put 100,000 people in there. But you get the American audiences on that too, pay-per-view numbers are going to be out of control. So it's a very, very smart move, and that's why he's the Bob father.
Chris, professional tip, never tell your producers you'll pay your own way. Ever. Because we'll have you working out there, we'll all be at the desk, and we'll throw to you ringside on your own dime. It will happen. But, Paulie, I got to ask you, piggybacking off what Chris says, we talked about maybe the lack of star power if we lose Canelo, lose Terence Crawford, who are both in their late 30s. Could the monster Naoya Inoue be a star in the next few years he has left in his prime? What's your thought on it?
You know, it's certainly a viable question. You know, you think about, can a foreigner be a big star in America? Well, you know, we had Manny Pacquiao, who was on the Asian market, and he became a major star here in the U.S. So it's definitely possible. But Pacquiao did it by getting eyes from the U.S. Scene. You know, he was fighting in the U.S. consistently from rather early in his career. Inoue has had the monster promotion, no pun intended, is monster promotion over in Japan, filling out big arenas and even selling in the Tokyo Dome recently with Neri. So I mean, it's a possibility to become the big star in America for Inoue, but I don't know if they've started that process too early. Nonetheless, there's a curiosity about him. The way he wins, he's exciting. He's he brings excitement to the table. Anytime he fights, the world of boxing talks about it. You could probably got more Western audiences in the U.S. waking up for 6 or 7 a.m. Japan cards for him than anybody else ever before, maybe since Tyson in the Tony Tubbs and Buster Douglas days, right? So the reality is that, you know, Inoue can, I don't know if he will, but because if you look at the Nakatani fight, for example, probably a bigger fight in Japan, but if you want pay-per-view numbers, you're going to stage it in the U.S. So I don't know. How do you pull that off? You know, you're going to put Nakatani in the undercard. So obviously, if you put Nakatani in the undercard next, as the champ Chris was talking about, Bob saying, then okay, you know, you're gonna create a dynamic. Hey, that's the next fight we're gonna make. So you're looking to make it in the U.S. That's terrific. But I think it's a better fight in Japan. But it doesn't garner as much money if you have less pay-per-view sales. So I guess you put it over in the U.S. I think different strokes for different folks, man. You know, I think this thing. With Nakatani is the biggest fight he can make. I'd love to see it in Japan just for the essentially it's such a big deal over there. But if they make it in the U.S., I don't think it's going to be as big, but it'll generate more money. Now Naoya Inoue is generating more and more attention every time he wins, every time he fights. But does he have time to become that star Pacquiao became in the U.S.? I'm not so sure.
This dude don't need US, man. He don't need US. He don't need us. I'm sorry, but I'm just saying he's getting articles.
I don't think he does either. I agree with you.
But he's getting write-ups on CNN. I mean, the dude is getting right. Yeah. He's mainstream now, dude.
Yeah. I agree.
Everybody's talking about it.
I got people asking. Yeah, when I got people asking me when a 122-pounder fights at what time on Tuesday morning, he's a global star. The guy.
Yeah,
is,
there's no doubt about it.
I don't think the U.S. market is as important as it used to be. No. You have Saudi Arabia now. You got Inoue's huge in Japan. So I was just addressing whether he's going to be a big star in the U.S. I don't necessarily think that's a necessary thing nonetheless. But I was addressing that. But I think Inoue can be a huge global phenomenon. He probably already is, if we're telling the truth.
Champ, you made a great point about Manny Pacquiao. But the difference with Manny Pacquiao is, one, he came over here early in his career. He was training in America. And two, he had Freddie Roach. So you had that, you had that connection to the American fans. He trained here. He had Freddie Roach. He was on all those undercards. And to your point, Inoue is 31 years old now. You know, is it too late? You know, and to your point, champ, Tim, he doesn't need America. You know, the money he's making over there, guys. I got wind of some of the money he's making.
Came to America.
He don't need
Joshua came into America and didn't do that hot.
That didn't work out.
You know, Joshua sells over there in England. I mean, dude, come on.
Yeah.
You know,
how old is Nakatani?
Nakatani's mid-20s, I think. He's young.
Mid-20s.
Yeah.
Nakatani has time. If we're really talking about it, because he trains in America, right?
He trains in America.
He's actually looking to do the Pacquiao route more than
That
Inoue
kid's
is.
special, man. I like him a lot.
Well, there are big options for the monster, whether he comes to the U.S., it looks like Bob Arum wants him to do, or stays in Japan and puts butts in seats and is, as we say, big in Japan. We'll see what happens, but the man has unbelievable talent. Could he be a next-level star? Well, no. Right about next year. Until then, you'll get your boxing news right here on ProBox TV. Once again, don't forget to download the ProBox TV app, and we'll be around. That's right, September 14th, Mexican Independence Day, Berlanga versus Canelo. Don't miss it.
He's the pride of Guadalajara, the Mexican maestro, the unified super middleweight champion of the world, Canelo Alvarez. His challenger, undefeated knockout artist and pride of Puerto Rico, Edgar Berlanga. It's prime time.
Canelo versus Berlanga, plus Lara versus Garcia, Saturday, September 14th, live on PBC pay-per-view on Prime Video.
For more ProBox TV, scan the QR code on the screen or go to the App Store and Google Play. ProBox TV, your boxing channel.